After begging his girlfriend not to leave, our guy still got dumped anyway, but at least he walked away with a black card. No hesitation, no looking back. He immediately moved into a luxury neighborhood on the outskirts of the city. And honestly, the man only wanted one thing: peace and quiet. After that emotional disaster, he needed time alone to recover. Step by step, he planned to rebuild the pride that heartbreak crushed. A fresh start sounded perfect. But fate clearly had other plans. The moment he moved in, he thought the girl next door was just a friendly neighbor. Too bad she apparently had wife-level ambitions. As an architect, his schedule was already brutal. Overtime was basically a daily quest. Living alone suited him perfectly. Simple. Predictable. And best of all, no emotional drama. That lasted exactly until the new neighbor arrived. This was his first encounter with Liu Ruyan. The day she moved in, she showed up looking effortlessly casual. Simple clothes, high ponytail, a little sweaty from moving boxes around. Yet she kept smiling, like sunshine itself. Honestly, she looked more like a college student than a homeowner. Cute, energetic, and slightly airheaded. The moment she spotted him, she enthusiastically greeted him first. Meanwhile, our hero responded politely. Nothing more. Nothing less. After all, he wasn't exactly looking for new relationships. He introduced himself, then immediately retreated back home. Mission accomplished. His only wish was that this neighbor wouldn't be noisy. Simple request. Unfortunately, he severely underestimated her enthusiasm. On the second night, his doorbell rang. And when he opened the door, there she was, in a bunny pajama outfit, holding an empty kettle, looking adorably embarrassed. Turns out, she needed help. Her kitchen wasn't working. No hot water, no instant noodles. A national emergency. Seeing those pleading eyes, his planned rejection died on the spot. And just like that, she entered his apartment. Watching her casually use his kitchen, he noticed she kept apologizing non-stop. The annoyance he felt earlier started melting away. Fair enough. Neighbors help neighbors, right? Then came the third night. Another knock. This time she brought her phone. Looking troubled again. The Wi-Fi had suddenly died, and she couldn't fix it. Convenient timing, isn't it? Our guy could only sigh. Then handed over his Wi-Fi password. One support ticket. Completed. The girl was thrilled. And that smile was devastatingly effective. On the fourth day, she showed up again. This time with a giant package. Apparently too heavy to move. Then the light bulb broke. Then something else. And before he knew it, our hero started suspecting a conspiracy. Seriously, who has this many problems? But every time she asked for help, she looked unbelievably sincere. At least on the surface. So he kept giving her the benefit of the doubt. Maybe she was just naturally clumsy. Besides those incidents, she was actually a good neighbor, quiet. Sometimes she even brought homemade snacks. And honestly, they tasted pretty good. So eventually, after knocking on his door 13 separate times, the 14th visit finally changed everything. This time she came empty-handed, just standing there with a mysterious smile. Naturally, our hero assumed another request was coming. By now, he was basically customer support. What would it be this time? Salt? Vinegar? Cat food? Yep, she even owned a cat. though he had never seen it. Pretty suspicious. Then she stared at him and suddenly burst into laughter. No borrowing today. The man relaxed instantly. Big mistake. She suddenly stepped closer. Her eyes sparkled, and the atmosphere shifted completely. After a brief pause, she dropped the bomb. A direct hit right into his peaceful little world. Turns out she wasn't here to borrow. She was here to repay. Repay what? Our hero was completely lost. Then came the twist. With absolute confidence, she confessed her feelings. Every bit of affection she'd accumulated over the past month. And wow, that confession completely short-circuited his brain. The man froze. No counterattack. No defense. Just total system failure. He looked like he'd been struck by lightning. Meanwhile, Liu Ruyan looked delighted. She refused to explain further. Instead, she left him with a playful smile, then casually retreated back to her apartment, leaving our guy standing there alone, absolutely stunned. That confession echoed through his head all night, like an unstoppable mental debuff. The more he thought about it, the more confused he became. Was she joking? Or was she serious? Either way, our hero wasn't ready. After all, the man had only recently gotten his heart broken. Our hero kept telling himself he was nothing special, a boring guy whose life revolved around work, just an ordinary architect. So why would someone like Liu Ruyan fall for him? Obviously, he must be overthinking things. Maybe that confession was just a joke. He desperately searched for logical explanations, anything to deny the obvious. Unfortunately, his heartbeat had other opinions. No matter how much he argued with himself, the man was clearly losing his composure. After that day, Liu Ruyan changed his strategy. No more daily doorbell attacks. But he didn't disappear, either. Instead, he switched to a much deadlier tactic. The slow infiltration route. Missed a package? He'd help collect it. Working late overtime again? A caring message would arrive right on cue. Cooked something he liked? There would always be extra. Pure coincidence. Of course, property fees due. Liu Ruyan paid them first, then casually sent the receipt afterward. And when he went on a business trip, he entrusted his supposedly shy ragdoll cat to He Janine. That cat's name was Nian Gao, and let me tell you, that cat was not shy at all. The thing was ridiculously social. Within days, it claimed a second kingdom. Sometimes occupying the keyboard, sometimes stealing the best spot on the sofa. And Liu Ruyan used the cat as the perfect excuse. Delivering cat food, checking on the cat, playing with the cat. He practically gained permanent access. Our hero kept protesting, telling him to take the cat back. But his actions betrayed him. He started checking the opposite door every day after work. He even prepared an extra set of tableware at dinner. And whenever Nian Gao acted goofy, he couldn't stop himself from smiling. Deep down, he was even looking forward to whatever excuse Liu Ruyan would invent next. At this point, he was basically being domesticated. He knew getting attached was dangerous. Yet every warm gesture slowly chipped away at his defenses. Before he realized it, his deepest weakness had been exposed. The desire to be cared for. And honestly, He was starting to wonder what Liu Ruyan really wanted. Staring at the sleeping cat, his thoughts became a complete mess. Because, while this slow burn approach was driving him crazy, he was secretly enjoying every second of it. And a shocking discovery changed everything. One day, he opened Liu Ruyan's social media account. The guy was a lifestyle blogger. Food, travel, cat, content. Pretty entertaining stuff. Clearly well produced. And pretty popular too. While casually scrolling through old posts, he stumbled upon a weekend vlog and then saw something familiar. Very familiar. It was a photo from an architecture exhibition, one featuring his own design model. The picture had clearly been taken on site. Then it got weirder. The background music was from a tiny indie band. A band he loved. Almost nobody knew them. His heart skipped a beat. Coincidence? He immediately dug through older content and found even more suspicious details. The same coffee shop he always visited. Even the exact window seat he preferred. A niche architecture book that had inspired his career. Liu Ruyan recommended it too. Then came the finishing blow. In one video, complaining about clients, he used the exact same phrasing he Nian once posted online. At that moment, everything clicked into place. This was no coincidence. Liu Ruyan had known about him for a long time and knew far too much. Instantly, cold sweat covered his back. The realization was terrifying. More terrifying than the confession itself. Who exactly was this guy? And how did he know so much? The questions kept piling up. Suddenly, all those sweet interactions looked completely different. From his perspective, every act of kindness felt planned. Even moving in next door seemed deliberate. The man had targeted him. But why? What was the goal? Our hero couldn't understand. He wasn't rich or powerful. Just a decent-looking architect. Nothing worth this level of effort. His imagination ran wild. Was this revenge? A setup from his ex-girlfriend? No, that made no sense either. The more he thought, the creepier it became. One thing was certain. Liu Ruyan was hiding something. And that sunny smile might be covering a huge secret. Our hero finally made up his mind. No more getting led around. He took a deep breath, marched to the door, and yanked it open dramatically. At the exact same moment, Liu Ruyan's door opened too. Talk about perfect timing. The guy was holding Nian Gao in his arms and greeted him with his usual sunshine smile. This time, however, our hero wasn't having it. He walked straight over, eyes locked on the target. Then came the confrontation. A cold and direct question hit like a critical strike. The smile on Liu Ruyan's face instantly froze. Even the arm holding the cat tightened slightly. For a split second, panic flashed across Liu Ruyan's face, but he quickly switched back to playing innocent. Unfortunately, our hero wasn't buying it anymore. The interrogation had officially begun. One cold question after another. The pressure kept rising. He demanded answers. Why were his architectural works in those posts? Why those photos? How did Liu Ruyan know his favorite coffee shop? His favorite seat? Even the obscure books he studied? And the complaints he made online? The guy knew everything. At this point, coincidence was officially impossible. EVERY question LANED, like a hammer strike. And Liu Ruyan's face grew paler. His eyes started avoiding contact. Even his grip on the cat tightened. That reaction told our hero everything. The suspicion was correct. This man had known him for years. Liu Ruyan tried to speak, but every excuse died before it left his mouth. Meanwhile, our hero pressed harder. No retreat. No room to escape. Why move in next door? Why all those excuses? What was the goal? His emotions finally exploded. Months of confusion erupted at once. The feeling of being manipulated turned into pure anger. What hurt even more was realizing he'd almost fallen for that disgust in his eyes. Liu Ruyan's eyes slowly reddened. He lowered his head and stayed silent for so long that viewers would think the scene was frozen. Then finally, in an almost trembling voice, he revealed the truth. And just like that, boom. The biggest plot twist so far, his reason was incredibly simple. He had liked He Jinyan all along. The confession hit harder than any accusation. There was no calculation in his expression now. Only stubborn determination. And years of hidden feelings. Apparently, this crush started long before they ever met. Naturally, our hero's brain crashed, completely crashed. No reboot available. He demanded an explanation, because none of this made sense. After a deep breath, Liu Ruyan finally opened up. The secret he'd hidden for years was surprisingly straightforward. He had been one of the earliest followers of He Jinyan's architecture blog. Every article had been read. Every competition supported. Even lectures were attended quietly from the audience. The guy wasn't a stalker from nowhere. He was a veteran fan, an extremely dedicated one, maybe too dedicated. He knew the habits, preferences, and even the reason behind the breakup. Every sentence dropped. Like another bombshell, the audience and the protagonist were equally stunned at this point. Imagine discovering someone had admired you for years, in secret. That's both romantic and terrifying. Mostly terrifying, especially from our hero's perspective. As he struggled to process everything, one final question remained. So the move next door is intentional? Liu Ruyan nodded immediately. Without the slightest hesitation, he knew. He Jinyan had been suffering, so he wanted to be closer. And maybe find an opportunity. An opportunity for what? Bad question. Because the answer came with a confident smile. The kind of smile that says, I've already planned the ending. His goal was simple. To make He Jinyan fall for him. No hesitation. No shame. Just absolute confidence. As if victory was inevitable. And honestly, that confidence made our hero uncomfortable. Very uncomfortable. Sure, being admired by a beautiful person sounds like a fantasy. A dream scenario for many people. But after learning about the investigation, the planning, and the carefully arranged encounters, it no longer felt romantic. It felt calculated, obsessive, almost like a trap. And he felt like the prey. After calming himself down, he finally made a decision. A painful but necessary one. He acknowledged the feelings, but rejected the confession. That answer clearly caught Liu Ruyan off guard. The confidence cracked slightly. Why reject him? Our hero tried, explaining calmly, different personalities, different lifestyles. And most importantly, the breakup was still fresh. Deep down, he knew. Those weren't the real reasons. The truth was simpler. He couldn't trust someone who had hidden so much. Hearing that rejection, Liu Ruyan's smile gradually vanished. Only disappointment remained. For the first time, he looked vulnerable. No tricks, no confidence, just a hurt admirer. And then he suddenly looked up again. The girl suddenly fires back with a sharp question. And just like that, completely turning the tide, he really hasn't moved on from his previous relationship. A relationship that lasted 5 long years, only to get crushed by reality in the end. The emotional damage clearly never healed, which explains why he's been desperately chasing a quiet life. Seeing his silence, Liu Ruyan's eyes slowly lose their brightness, like the last star fading from the night sky. At that moment, she finally understands. The exhaustion in her expression hits surprisingly hard. No arguments, no excuses. She doesn't even look at him again. Instead, she quietly turns around with the cat in her arms and walks back into her apartment. That lonely silhouette leaves a surprisingly heavy feeling behind. Watching her door closed, our guy suddenly feels uncomfortable inside. Maybe he really went too far, because she genuinely looked heartbroken. But then again, he can't accept someone out of pity, or because of a few confusing feelings. That wouldn't be fair to either of them. So he convinces himself to end it, a clear cut. Better short pain than long suffering. After all, they belong to different worlds. Going back to being ordinary neighbors should be the perfect ending. Except, the story immediately decides to prove him wrong. Because Liu Ruyan truly disappears from his life. No more knocking. No more silly excuses. Even when they meet in the hallway, she simply walks past without stopping. Like they're complete strangers. Looks like she really gave up. And logically, he should feel relieved. The troublesome neighbor is finally gone. Peace and quiet have returned. But strangely, something feels missing. He keeps listening for sounds, waiting without realizing it. Every time he opens his door, his eyes drift toward hers. And that's when the realization hits. He misses her voice. He misses her smile. He even misses those ridiculous excuses she used. And let's not forget the fat cat. Even Nian Gao stopped visiting. Now things start getting dangerous. Because he's grown used to her presence. And only after she disappears, does he realize how important she became? Ladies and gentlemen, the trap has officially closed. No way! This man who spent chapters resisting her has finally fallen himself. The feelings are real now. Habit is truly a terrifying thing. A perfect slow burn attack. You don't notice it happening until your heart has already surrendered. And his definitely has. Without Liu Ruyan around, his peaceful life suddenly feels empty. Quiet becomes boring. No more mistaken door knocks in the morning. No more warm milk deliveries. No more messages asking if he needs lunch. The daily routine loses all its color. Even the sounds from next door disappear. Nothing remains. The balcony feels empty too. No more girl and cat moon viewing sessions. That closed door becomes an icy wall, separating two people, once again, and cutting off the warmth growing inside him. The regret begins. Soon enough, he can't even sleep. His mind keeps replaying memories of her. The first time she knocked on his door. The time she napped carelessly with the cat nearby. Every little moment returns. He remembers being sick once, and her disastrous attempt to make ginger soup. A kitchen nearly became a battlefield that day. Then comes the hardest memory. The look in her eyes after he rejected her. That lonely expression refuses to leave. His chest feels heavy. Uncomfortably heavy. And finally, he starts questioning himself. Did he make the wrong choice? Did he hurt her far more than necessary? After all, she spent years secretly loving him, gathering courage, only to be pushed away immediately. And now his pride looks pretty foolish. The past still haunts him. Meanwhile, his mood keeps worsening. Work starts falling apart. He keeps revising designs endlessly. Nothing feels right anymore. Even clients become extra annoying. And here's the funniest part. He actually starts missing the days when she bothered him non-stop. Back then, life felt alive. It had color. Now everything feels dull. A classic, late just when regret is about to drown him. A brand new storm arrives. His ex-girlfriend suddenly appears, and she comes straight to his door, dressed in expensive clothes, looking flawless as ever, standing outside his modest apartment, still carrying that familiar, superior attitude. She speaks as if she's offering charity, clearly expecting him to come crawling back. But our man isn't impressed. He remains silent while she keeps talking. And the arrogance just keeps. The mockery is impossible to miss. According to her, they were never from the same world. A brutal verbal attack begins. She belittles both his talent and pride, then even tries to touch his face, like before. But he immediately dodges. A clean rejection, right to her face, and her expression freezes instantly, realizing things aren't going as planned. She softens her tone and changes tactics. The classic backup strategy. Pretend everything is in the past, then start showing off her success. And finally, dangle the possibility of getting back together. The ex-girlfriend suddenly, with the same superior attitude as before, acting like she could easily save his life. She even offered to drag him back into the wealthy social circle she thought he desperately wanted. But hearing all that, our guy only felt disgusted. After all, this was the same woman who abandoned him because of status and money. Back then, her family looked down on him, and she quickly jumped ship to a richer partner without hesitation. He used to suffer because of it. But now things were different. Looking at her obsession with wealth, he suddenly realized something important. Instead of regret, he felt lucky they broke up. Because, at least, he hadn't become another victim of vanity. And naturally, his thoughts drifted straight toward Liu Ruyan, the girl whose affection was awkward, yet unbelievably sincere. The girl who always cared for him, even when she acted a little clumsy. Compared to the ex, standing here, the difference was night and day. Without wasting another second, he coldly rejected her offer. No hesitation. No nostalgia. Nothing. The ex immediately lost her composure. She mocked his current situation, trying one last time to crush his pride. Big mistake. Our guy fired back. Instantly. A clean, verbal counterattack. No shouting needed. Just pure emotional damage. The woman clearly didn't expect to be rejected She tried to completely play the old relationship card, but unfortunately, our protagonist wasn't buying it. Not anymore, he bluntly reminded her that everything ended the moment she abandoned him for a better future. And with that, he told her to stay out of his life forever. Then, bam! The door slammed shut, right in her face. A satisfying ex-girlfriend shut down. But, strangely, he felt no victory afterward. Only emptiness continued to grow. Because deep down, he finally understood who truly mattered to him. And yes, it was Liu Ruyan. The realization hit hard. He could no longer lie to himself. No more running away. No more denial. He regretted everything, every harsh word, every cold rejection. He had pushed away the one person who truly loved him. But the terrifying question remained. Was it already too late? Would she still forgive him? Or had she already left forever? The thought struck him like a hammer to the chest. Suddenly, he panicked. Completely panicked. Without thinking, he rushed outside, straight to her apartment. The man started pounding on the door. And not just knocking. He was practically begging fate itself. This was the moment. He finally admitted his feelings. Unfortunately, the room remained silent. No answer. No footsteps. Nothing at all. The fear kept growing. Still unwilling to accept, he kept knocking reality harder. At this point, the guy looked completely desperate. The classic realization arc. Guys, the treasure was right beside him. And ONLY now. Did he understand her value? Just when despair was about to win, a neighboring door opened. An auntie appeared. And then came the plot twist. She casually revealed that Liu Ruyan had already left with her luggage that morning. Instant critical hit. The man froze on the spot. His entire body went cold. The realization finally landed. She was really gone. And this time, there was nobody else to blame. He had personally pushed away the only girl who genuinely cared for him. Talk about self-inflicted damage. He wandered back home like a lost soul. Everything around him felt gray. The apartment was the same, yet somehow empty, as if something irreplaceable had been ripped away. Liu Ruyan was gone, and she took her wounded heart with her. For the first time, our protagonist truly understood the meaning of regret. He sat there motionless, replaying every mistake in his head. If only he had realized sooner. If only he hadn't hurt her. If only he had listened to his heart. But, unfortunately, this story doesn't run on save files. There was no reset button. Then suddenly, while drowning in regret, his eyes landed on the shoe cabinet. Something was sitting there. A small envelope. The guy immediately walked over. No name. No message outside. And when he opened it, instead of a farewell letter, what fell out was a key. And not just any key. It belonged to Liu Ruyan's apartment. At that moment, our guy's brain finally rebooted. Maybe this wasn't a goodbye after all. like a drowning man, grabbing his final lifeline. He rushed across the hall. With trembling hands, the key slid in. The lock clicked open. And he threw the door wide open. But the room was completely empty. Everything had been moved out. Nothing remained, except a faint fragrance, lingering quietly in the air. For a second, his hope crashed again. Then he noticed something on the floor. A folded piece of paper. He hurried over and picked it up immediately. His fingers were shaking from nervousness. The note contained only a single sentence. And that sentence changed everything. Turns out Liu Ruyan had already paid the rent for a full year. He left the key behind as well. But the final message hit the hardest. This time, he would wait for our protagonist to be the one knocking on his door. Ladies and gentlemen, that was a critical, emotional combo. The man's eyes instantly turned red. All the despair disappeared because Liu Ruyan hadn't abandoned him. Instead, she had quietly left a path behind. A chance for him to finally choose her. That stubborn girl, still waiting. Without wasting another second, he grabbed the key, rushed downstairs like a madman, and began searching everywhere. No hesitation. No pride. Only one mission. Finally you, Ruyan. He searched every location she might possibly visit. Coffee shops, bookstores, every corner around the neighborhood. The guy was running around like the protagonist of a romance finale. Passers-by stared at him strangely, probably wondering if he'd escaped a hospital. But he didn't care. Nothing else mattered now. He just had to find her. And finally, after all that searching, he spotted a familiar figure, sitting calmly on a bench inside the neighborhood park. There she was, looking down at her phone, peacefully scrolling away. Meanwhile, our guy had nearly suffered 3 heart attacks. The sunset wrapped around her silhouette, creating a scene straight out of a movie ending. The moment he saw her, all the panic vanished. Only warmth remained. He finally understood what his heart wanted. No more confusion this time. After straightening his clothes and catching his breath, he walked forward, step by step, firm and determined. Hearing the footsteps, Liu Ruyan looked up. She froze, briefly. Then came a smile. A smile filled with relief, warmer than the sunset itself. Brighter too. One smile was enough to light up his entire world. He stopped before her. No speech. No dramatic monologue. Just 2 people, looking into each other's eyes. Everything else faded away. The atmosphere was so sweet, it could probably raise blood sugar levels. They stood there quietly, sharing a moment words couldn't describe. The entire world disappeared around them. Only the 2 of them remained. Eventually, Liu Ruyan broke the silence, playful first, but clearly emotional. And that's when our protagonist finally embraced her tightly. No excuses. Just a sincere apology from the heart. They stayed in each other's arms until the sun completely disappeared. Even after separating, their hands never let go. Still feeling nervous, he sought confirmation. Had she really forgiven him? Liu Ruyan immediately switched into mischievous mode. She decided to forgive him for now. But of course, there was a condition. The death penalty was cancelled, yet punishment remained. From this day forward, he would have to spoil her properly. Compensation for years of heartbreak. Our protagonist instantly agreed. Fastest surrender in romance history. Salary card handed over. Housework, all his. Future requests, approved in advance. The girl burst into laughter. Clearly satisfied with the result. Mission accomplished. Relationship restored. And then she stood on tiptoe and kissed him. A sweet reward for finally waking up emotionally. Afterward, she took his hand and led him toward the place they now shared. Because at long last, the two finally headed home, together, hand in hand, walking slowly. Beneath the night sky, streetlights stretched their shadows, as if illuminating their future as well. Then Liu Ruyan suddenly remembered something and turned toward him. There was still one unfinished chapter. Yep, the ex-girlfriend issue. Our protagonist calmly brushed it aside. That story was over, completely over. Liu Ruyan nodded, though everyone still cared a little. A jealous heroine remains a heroine. After all, sensing her concern, our guy stopped walking. This was the final boss move. No hesitation. No retreat. He looked straight into her eyes and made his position crystal clear. The past was finished. His present and future belonged to only one person. Critical hit landed successfully. Liu Ruyan's eyes reddened, but this time, there was no sadness, only happiness overflowing everywhere. The girl couldn't hold back anymore. She stepped forward herself, closing the distance instantly. The atmosphere became even sweeter than before. After everything they had been through, this was the emotional payoff. The audience had been waiting for. After a long moment, Liu Ruyan leaned comfortably against him. Then came one final request. No more calling her his neighbor. Our protagonist immediately knew she was setting up something dangerous. Still, he played dumb on purpose. The man baited her into saying it. And the shy heroine finally delivered the finishing move. One single title completely ended the series. Ladies and gentlemen, after countless misunderstandings, heartbreaks, regrets, and emotional self-destruction, the ex-girlfriend lost the game completely. Our protagonist finally realized who truly loved him, while the loyal heroine secured a perfect victory. No overpowered cultivation, no face-lapping business, empire, just a man finally waking up before losing the most important person in his life. And honestly, that emotional damage arc hit harder than half the revenge stories out there. A satisfying ending, a complete redemption, and a well-deserved happy reunion. Mission accomplished. The neighborhood romance officially reaches its finale. And this time, nobody is letting go of each other's hand again.